Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Monday Night Therapy. I'm your host, Minnie Hunt, and with me tonight is another special guest from chat, James Boardman. Welcome,
Hello.
James. Hi.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you, James?
Great. Just ready to
Awesome.
go.
I see you're wearing one of Nation's sweatshirts. Isn't that the man-killing mastodons?
Yes, it is.
Nice. So not everyone knows what the man-killing mastodons were and why we have a t-shirt for that. Do you care to share why Nebraska has a man-killing mastodon? What's the relation?
I'm John shared the video on that, and I'm trying to recall, and I may not be 100% correct, but I think it was a Chicago sports reporter after Nebraska defeated either Illinois or Northwestern. This was way back in the 1910s, 1920s.
Uh-huh.
He labeled the Nebraska offense as man-killing mastodons. So
Yeah.
it was never an official team name.
Right. Right.
So
But it's so cool that we had a nickname like that. I mean,
that one
kind of
was
says
earned.
something. What?
That one was earned. This was
Yes.
earned. We didn't like bug eaters. We named ourselves bug eaters or golden
Yeah.
knights.
Yeah. Well, I like earning nicknames. I want to earn more of those nicknames with football.
Like
So,
national champion.
yeah, that'd be good. Can we do a couple of those? You know, but let's start small and work our way up, shall we?
Sure.
Um, I wanted James to come on because I got to meet you in Lincoln as well as Fred Sacco, and I don't know if I've gotten to meet very many people from chat, but it's not that scary to, be on YouTube. And I feel like the whole reason that I'm here is because of you guys. And it's really the chat show, in my opinion. It's all about you guys. And the reason it is because of your history as Husker fans.
I'm gonna
And
verify. Did you say chat show or shit show?
no, did it sound like shit show? Sometimes depends on who's here. But no, the chat. You guys are my
That's a good
favorite.
show.
So yeah. And I just want you to, share your really interesting Husker story. I mean, I talked to you last night and I found out all kinds of wonderful things I'd never even heard of. So I hope we get to bring those up tonight and share with people because I promise you there's going to be people listening to this that have never heard some of the stories you shared with me.
Uh-oh. Well, I did share my OnlyFans, and you can't show those pictures.
Oh, gosh. Well, first, I'm going to say hi to some of the people in chat. Fred Sacco's here. Fred was on last week, guys. And he says, James Boardman, I know him. Yes, we know him. And Highlander Guns here. James, you're even in chat. Joe Lalakis. Hi, Joe. Thanks for coming. And Justin Raji. Justin's one of my buddies. So I met Justin through another chat, through another YouTube channel, and him and I just hit it off really well. And then Fred Sacco says, I try my best to make it a shit show. He knew I was referring to him. Kidding. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and just start off with, we're going to hit on some of the Husker things that have happened over the weekend, like men's basketball and baseball. But I want to just go ahead and start off with your earliest recollection of being a Husker fan.
Ooh, my earliest recollection, and this was before I became a fan, is I'll start with the first one is I met Bob Devaney, and I didn't know who Bob Devaney was at the time. I was 5 or 6 years old. I lived in a small town outside of Lincoln. So we did a field trip to Morrill Hall and state capitol and all that stuff here in Lincoln. But when we were outside of Morrill Hall, this older gentleman walked up and people recognized him and they shook his hands, and we're on a field trip. So teacher had to dig out paper from her purse and pen, and he was signing autographs, and I didn't know who he was. I didn't care at that time. I was just a kid. And come to
Mm-hmm.
find out it was Bob Devaney.
Hmm.
And the other recollection I
This
have,
guy.
that guy.
I think Fred had one of these bottles also that I saw in his memorabilia. Yeah, that's so cool.
And the other one, other memory I had, and I had to look up the date, but it was the 1977 Liberty Bowl. Nebraska played North Carolina.
Oh my gosh.
And mom took all us kids out of the house because dad wanted to watch the game in peace. And come to find out, the house that we went to, that guy went to our house to watch the game with dad. And the reason why I had to look it up was, wow, why were they making cookies? Because we're running around the house, tearing up the house, just little kids. And they're making cookies, gingerbread cookies and Christmas cookies. Well, the game was on December 19th, the bowl game.
Oh my gosh.
I was captivated by watching these two teams play, one in red and the other North Carolina in that baby blue.
Oh wow.
So between tearing up the house and watching TV, I kind of got an idea who the Huskers were.
That is
And
so awesome.
it all became fandom. 1978, Nebraska and Oklahoma. I sat down and watched the game with my dad.
Mm.
And the highs and lows, the fumbles, the hits, all that stuff like that. And of course, Nebraska won that game. And dad was all excited, and he said, "Load up the car. We're going to Lincoln." Of course, for us kids, going to Lincoln meant, hey, we're going to go out to eat. We're going to go to someplace fancy like Burger King, because Seward didn't have anything like that. And so every time we came to Lincoln, we're always going out to eat. And we got to Lincoln, drove over Harris Overpass, which is O Street, to downtown. I've never seen so many people in red. And
Oh my
dad
gosh.
had to explain what was going on. He said, all these people were at that game we just watched. And I don't know how, but dad found a parking spot downtown. And we just milled about downtown with everybody else. Went into JCPenney's. JCPenney's loaded up with people. Brandeis, Miller and Payne's, all that stuff. Everybody's dressed in red. I became a fan that day.
Okay. I don't know about you guys, but that seriously it brings a tear to my eye. How old are you?
At that time, I was 10. I would have been 12.
Yeah. It's idyllic.
And I
Except for being in December.
learned what it truly meant to be a fan, because the following week they lost to Missouri. Then they had a rematch with Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl and lost to Oklahoma. So, okay, that's what being a fan
Ups
means.
and downs. Ups and downs. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you shared with me last night that you also had the opportunity to work at Memorial Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
And it took me quite a ways into our conversation to understand what that looked like. So I'm going to just pull up some of these. Let's see. I think this one is the first. Nope. This one is.
Yeah.
No, that was right. Was this the first or second one?
Well, that would be the second one. There's the first, because we had bigger stickers that first in 1981.
So you worked for Nebraska's concession stands.
Yep.
At Memorial Stadium in 1981, and they gave you these stickers to wear.
Yep.
And
Walked
what?
up and down the aisles yelling, 7 Up.
Oh my gosh. So like at a baseball game, like the guys do now, but you were at a football game and you were carrying like a cardboard box or something?
When I started, they were wires. It was
Okay.
about the thickness, almost a little bit thicker than like a clothes hanger wire. And you had to wear gloves because they just chew into your fingers. And there's 24 cups of 7 Up in each rack.
Uh-huh.
I think those were 16-ounce or 20-ounce cups. But they were the old plastic cups, the collector cups. They had the schedule on it, and then the team that they're playing that week, and they
Mhm.
just stuck a little piece of plastic over the top.
Oh my gosh. Just so cool. And how much were they? How much did you sell them for? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I probably should have looked that up. I think we only made 10 cents a cup, so it's $2.40 a rack.
Can you imagine? Do you just freak out when you see the concession stand prices now?
Yeah, that's a little
I bet.
ridiculous.
I bet. So this is 1981 and it shows which games, each game you worked at.
Yeah,
at.
and there's one game missing from that one.
Oh, okay. We'll go back to that. What's missing?
Auburn. I was sick for the Auburn game, so I didn't get to go to the Auburn game. Nebraska started that season. They lost to Iowa to begin the season, but that was a Chuck Long Iowa team, and they only won 10-7. So Iowa only scored 10 points. I mean, more things change the more they stay the same. They still can't score. And so I
That's
missed that Auburn game, and that's significant because Mark Maurer started the season as Nebraska's quarterback. And of
Oh,
course, we had a loss. He did well against Florida State, struggled against Penn State, and so they decided to start Nate Mason against Auburn. And Nebraska struggled, and they were down 9-0 at halftime. And in the second half, a sophomore from Texas started, Turner Gill, and it all changed.
ooh.
Nebraska went
Sophomore
from
Turner Gill.
a
Mm,
pro style offense to a option offense, just like that.
wow. Wow. That is so cool. And you remember being there watching it. Mm.
Not Auburn.
Okay. Oh, not Auburn. I mean, but Highlander Gun says, what's he holding up with his right arm? So it looks like there's a golf bag behind you that's
Like, yeah,
also black. So it kind of looks like it's an
yep, over here.
extension.
Yeah, and you can't quite see it. I'll tilt it up right here. I got a boob light too.
My gosh. Yours is missing a nipple, though. It looks like. Not that I would know. Okay. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go through and then show this one. This is 82, 83, and 84 concessions.
Yep.
Those are some good games. So we played Oklahoma quite a few times. Colorado, 1983 Colorado. Wonder
Yeah.
what that game was like.
And the 82 season, I missed the New Mexico game because I got in trouble and got grounded. And then that Oklahoma game, I got to talk to mentions his name already. He said he wasn't going to be in the chat. Um, the other old guy.
Husker Bob?
No, opposite of John on the
Oh,
coronation.
Todd
Yeah,
Wolverton?
yeah. I
Yeah.
talked to Todd, and we were talking about that Oklahoma game in '82. And that game is when Nebraska won and we stormed the field. And he said he was already down on the field when Scott Strasburger made that interception to seal the win. And they charged the field, and there was, I think, 26 seconds left.
Mm.
And of course, they had to clear off the field so Nebraska could run out the clock. But I would sell enough pop up till about halftime, about the middle of the second quarter, so I can get the hell out of the aisles because everybody had to make a restroom run. So I had to
Mhm.
clear the aisles. So I would get finished selling, go to the East Stadium and stand along the top of the balcony in the back because there was an aisle in the back. So you can go back there and stand and watch. And when I
Okay.
seen all the students climbing the fences and stuff, and I thought, I am not going to miss the opportunity of storming the field. So when Strasburger made that interception, I got myself down to row 19 away from the field. So by the time everything was done, the game was over, and I just got to the field as everybody was walking off, but I got on the field. So I got to walk on the AstroTurf.
The AstroTurf. What did it feel like?
It's like AstroTurf on concrete. It's
I
hard.
bet.
I think that's the reason why you don't see football players with knee pads anymore in their pants, because falling down on that AstroTurf had to hurt. And now with this field turf and grass, it probably doesn't bother them as much, so that's why they're not wearing knee pads. That's my guess.
Fred Sacco wants to know, did you tackle John as he stormed the field? Hope you did.
I yanked him down by his hair.
Oh, John. And
Way
then
back there.
let's see here. I think it was, yeah, Never Mind Me. Hi, Never Mind Me. Wants to know, hi, Minnie, how come John isn't on anymore? So John is taking a break, and he loves doing the hardcore college football, where he talks about the history of college football and just some really interesting things. Make sure you um, subscribe to that channel too, because it is really fun. Right now, so he's taking a break. He has the brain injury, he had the heart attack, and it's just kind of mentally exhausting the season getting through that. And he's just taking care of his health right now. He's fine, but just taking care of his health. He'll be back. So, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you
Yeah,
all are here.
yesterday.
Huh? What's up?
He had a new video yesterday.
Did he really? Okay.
I
Awesome. See?
remember what it was.
Oh my gosh. So, Vince Watson's here also. He says, thank you, Fred, for keeping it entertaining. He does. Fred Sacco is one of the most fun people to chat with, at least, through typing chat. So, yeah, we do. Thank you, Fred. Let's see here. Mikey Mike wants to know, why does Raiola look so fat this off season? Okay, so I'm gonna take this one off real quick, make us a little bigger so people can see us. I don't know if you guys watch the other YouTube shows or whatever, but Pat McAfee had Matt Rhule on his show 4 days ago, and I just caught up with it. One of the things Matt Rhule said was that if Dylan misses a nutrition appointment, he doesn't get to throw that day. So they are working on making sure he stays lean and trim, and I think that's a focus. So hopefully we'll get that.
At those high school basketball games he's going to.
Well, I mean, isn't it called the freshman 20 anyways? That you
20?
gain whenever you go to,
15.
is it 15? I think it's 20 now. Okay.
It's all that hot fructose corn syrup.
Yeah. Or it's Raising Canes. That's what it is. Joe LaLeka says Liberty Bowl fourth quarter comeback for the win. Do you know what he's talking about there?
Not really. Like I said, I just know I had one eye on the game and I had one eye on tearing up the house.
I can't imagine you tearing up the house. That's hard for me to imagine.
Well, there's a story out of that where a regent apparently told Tom Osborne if he lost that bowl game, they were going to fire him.
This is what I mean. It seems like, yeah, Tom Osborne is legendary. We think of him as the almighty practically, but he says it all the time. Anytime he does any kind of interview, that he's had some rough times as a coach, that they didn't always love him, and that a lot of times he was on the hot seat.
Yeah, I believe after the 1979 season, I think it was, he got a job offer from Colorado and entertained that.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Oh my gosh, then what? What would we be? Seriously, then
Well,
what?
he
Oh,
didn't come until the 90s. That sealed his legendary status.
that's true. That's true. However, he did get us that strength and training Epley guy,
Yep,
and that was a big turning point for us.
that was huge. Yeah, that happened under Bob Devaney.
But it was Osborne that recommended it.
Yeah, I was as far as I understand, Boyd Epley approached Osborne and said, "Hey, I can help your guys get better, stronger, faster.
Yeah.
We have the technology." There's a joke right there for Fred. Uh, but yeah, and then Osborne and Boyd approached uh, Bob Devaney about that, and of course Bob was
Mhm.
still the coach, and he said, "Well, I'll let you do it, but if they get slower and fatter, you're fired." And he basically told that to Osborne.
Results.
Then
Results.
71, those are championship years.
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Okay, Dana Williams says, when I was a student in the 80s, they'd say mixers, not 7 Up or Coke. Is that what did you guys used to call that out?
I did call out mixers.
Maybe that's why you didn't sell as much as the other people.
Well, I was on the East Stadium, touched a little bit on the student section, which was on the south side of East Stadium. I was mostly up with faculty. Uh, I
Okay.
go up into that balcony. You can sell a rack just like that. So,
Oh.
yeah, because nobody else would go up to the balcony, too many stairs.
Oh.
So that's the quickest way to do it.
Mhm. Yep. Young knees. Okay, we're going to go back to this. Okay, so this is 1984. How many people in Nebraska, like how many people do you think have a concessions sticker in their collection? First of all,
I'll hope more than one.
I bet you there's not more than one.
And I have to
There's,
explain, the next two pictures they're so blank below there because I had some personal pictures in there that I had to take out. So that's why
oh,
that page is so empty with two
personal.
stickers, and the next one only has one sticker.
I'm glad you took those out,
I didn't want
those
to
personal
put
pictures.
personal pictures in there.
What kind of personal pictures, James?
I'll put them on my OnlyFans page if you
Oh
want to
my
see.
gosh. Give me a break. Okay. So Nebraska concessions, Missouri and Kansas State in 84. I'm guessing those must have been pretty good games. Yeah.
Next one was the big one.
This one. Oh, oh, yes.
Oklahoma 84.
Tell me
Brian
about it.
Chris. And then the running back for Oklahoma that year was Marcus Dupree. Uh, Unbelievable running back. Uh, Size, power, speed. He took off on a 60, I think it was a 67-yard run, and it didn't look like he even tried, and he just ran by everybody. That's how smooth he was. Incredible running back, but
Mm.
he had issues.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think he was only a sophomore that season, 84. And he had motivation problems and mental health. We'll just leave it at mental health.
Oh. Husker Chuck says he was a gazelle with moose power.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Dupree?
Yeah.
Wow.
I even seen Barry Sanders play there in the 88, and Barry was amazing, but I still, for an opposing player to come in that I witnessed at that stadium, Marcus Dupree, he's incredible.
Wow.
In fact, Oklahoma changed their offense just for him. They used to run the wishbone. And for him, they ran the I formation because he could be further back and he could see the holes open up. Because he took a little bit to get going. And once he was going, he was gone. And then after he was gone, they switched back to the wishbone. So he was that they changed their offense just for him.
Fred Sacco says that there's a great 30 for 30 on him. I'm going to look it up. I actually wrote his name down. And then Husker Chuck says Marcus was faster by a lot. Barry could change directions better, though.
Yeah. Barry, he could stop on a dime. But that day when Oklahoma State came here, Nebraska had a 42-0 lead against Oklahoma State. Barry did all his work in the second half. And Ken Clark still outrushed him.
Oh my gosh. This is so exciting. I never knew any of this. I mean, diving into this kind of stuff, to me, is so great. Do you think there's still a rivalry there between us and Oklahoma?
Yeah, it's not as deep as it was. But see, the Oklahoma-Nebraska rivalry was built on respect. You could tailgate with Oklahoma fans before the game, go into the game and talk the dirtiest crap to each other. And after the game, you shake hands, you go back and drink more beer. And the players were like that too. It wasn't a nasty rivalry like Michigan and Ohio State or Oklahoma and Texas. That's pure hate.
Wow. Husker Chuck says, I was at the OSU game. I didn't feel comfortable even up 42-0 because they could come back at any time. Is that why?
Yeah, they outscored us in the second half 28-21. We won 63-28. They were dangerous. Mike Gundy was the quarterback, and Hartley Dykes was the wide receiver, and they had their own version of the scoring explosion, and that's what they labeled themselves as, the scoring explosion.
That is awesome. Wow.
Oh, 63-42? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna I want to show this picture since we're talking, Husker stuff, memorabilia. When you told me last night that you showed me this tube that you have full of posters. And I'm like, what kind of posters? And you said that they were Husker schedules.
Yep.
That they used to put out. What I wouldn't give for just one of these. There's quite a few here.
Yeah, I didn't take a picture of all of them. So I put this challenge out to all of you out there watching right now. If you have a chance to get on here and you have a bunch of posters, share them. I kind of limited myself. I figured somebody else can share that, but who else is going to have concession stand stickers? I thought that will be my contribution, and somebody else can show a bunch of posters. But I did pick a few out to share tonight.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the first one, the earliest one. This is the 78-79 Big 8 championship. Oh my goodness. Look
With
how young Tom Osborne is there. I
you
am
can't
hip.
the green, but it says I am hip, Heisman Trophy candidate.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I've heard about I am hip. Tell me about him.
Another long line of great running backs. That's the earliest one I remember is I am hip, and then he was followed by Jarvis Redwine, and it just took off from there. Then you get into your Roger Craigs and your Mike Roziers and Doug DeBose and Jeff Smith.
I can read that it says Black Shirts Defense Swarm. Now this actually begs a question. I love the simplicity here of these jerseys. What was your favorite jersey over the years?
Mine would have been the mid '90s with the block N, the I guess more of a skinny N on the sleeves. That excuse me, that was the mid '80s. The mid '80s jersey with the N on the sleeve instead of the two stripes. And they were half shirts, so they showed off the pierced gut or the ripped gut.
Those are my favorite too, now that I think about it.
It'd be 20 degrees out, and they're out there in those tearaway jerseys.
What? Gargamel says I am hip was a walk-on from South Carolina?
That I did not know.
And he was a Heisman Trophy candidate? Oh my goodness.
Oh, I just noticed it on my computer that you can see the N on the shoulder pad of 97.
Oh yeah. You can.
That's the jersey I liked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can see through the jersey. See through it and see the pads.
Yes.
Yeah, those are great jerseys. Wow. So, Big 8 championship. Tom Osborne. Beautiful ring there. Young Tom Osborne. And then this picture here of the weight room. Wow, has it come a long ways.
Yeah, it looked like a little garage.
And that's what we've built all that strength and muscle off of. That's incredible. Fred says Minnie's now going to push for see-through jerseys and pants. Pants, just the jerseys. Just the jerseys. I think we all want those, so. All right. Let's see. Fred also says, and Devaney wrote on James' piece of paper, be sure to drink your Ovaltine. Do you still have that? What he
autograph. I had no idea who he was at the time. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was disappointed when I decoded the ring and that's what it said. Advertisement.
Fred also says there's nice vineyards in Seward, James. Junto, ever tried it?
No, I don't like driving down gravel roads in my car. And that opened up long after we left Seward.
So
mom moved back, so I do go back to Seward quite a bit right now.
Okay. You're just opposed to gravel roads.
I got picky with my car.
It cityfied you. You're a city slicker now.
Yeah. We moved to Lincoln in 1980. And
okay.
Yeah, I've been in Lincoln ever since.
Since 1980?
Yeah.
Wow. You've seen some changes, huh?
Yes, because where I'm living out at right now used to be a cornfield. About 15 years ago, it was probably a cornfield.
That is really great. Fred says 1981 Penn State looks like you avoided Sandusky.
Oh yeah, I was a young man. That's a good thing. That's a good thing I avoid Sandusky.
But tell me, what is this? Tell me. I don't even know. You
You
guys
don't know,
realize that you have to explain this stuff to me.
you don't know who
I
Jerry
think
Sandusky is? The downfall of Joe Paterno?
no, I don't.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
he liked to spend time in the showers with little boys.
Okay, now I know. I know this story. Yes. Okay. Enough said. Enough said. Yeah. That I'm glad you avoided him. Oh my goodness. Of course. Thanks so much, Fred. I had no idea. All right, so we'll move on to 1983. Is that it? The
Scoring explosion.
scoring explosion. Tell me about this.
That at that time, that was one of the greatest football teams I ever seen. And you have
Really?
Bill, Mike Rozier, Irving Fryer. That team was loaded. That would have been the year after Remington, so I believe Trainowitz might have been the center, and he still achieved All-American honors. We were still a very good team.
I see we're wearing Nike there. When did we switch to Adidas?
I think that happened right around the 2000s.
Okay.
Which I was going to add, back when I was working concessions, it was 7-Up and Coca-Cola. Everything went to
Oh,
shit when we
not
started
Pepsi.
selling Pepsi.
The good old days.
Adidas, we need to go back to Nike.
You also told me that everything when you were in the stadium, obviously they didn't have Jumbotron, so all you were looking at was the scoreboard.
Oh, well, that's the scoreboard. You can see it right there. They're
Yeah.
bursting right through it. That was, as far as visually, that was the or electronic visual. That was the only thing in the stadium at that time. Otherwise, you had the cheerleaders coming out during timeouts, getting the fans fired up. Then you had the band trying to get everybody fired up. And I think you're leading me towards Mad Mike and Husker Bob.
Okay, this is I love this poster. In fact, I was thinking maybe I'm going to use one of your posters as the background for this show because they're so awesome. I just love them. Yeah, tell me about Mad Mike and Husker Bob. So Husker Bob, I thought at first he was talking to you. We do have a Husker Bob in chat. And I
You hear?
wonder if he knows who Husker Bob, the original Husker Bob was. This is such a cool story. I had no idea.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see if anybody else knows. Old fart like me.
So
Husker
cool.
Bob, he was, I would guess he was in his 70s back then. And he would dress up in this nice white suit, white jacket, white pants. He'd sometimes have red shoes on. He'd have a red shirt on underneath there with the suspenders. And he would just go around the stadium getting people fired up, doing, you know, defense, or go big red, or he was one of the characters. He he made that stadium special. And sadly,
Said
he
he wore a
had,
newsboy cap, right?
oh yeah, the white newsboy cap. He had a white newsboy cap with the red N on the top. And sadly, in the late 80s, he passed away at the stadium doing what he loved.
Okay, that story right there. Incredible. To die at Memorial Stadium doing what you love. kind of creepy, but at the same time, it's freaking cool. That is
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah. Always had
So
a
his
smile on his
spirit
face.
lives on.
Yeah. Always had a smile on his face. And then the other character we had was Mad Mike. And he'd go around, he had the, yep, right there.
Yeah.
He had the drum. He coddled out. He had the old coach's biker shorts with the Nebraska mesh shirt that was even more see-through than the jerseys that you were talking about earlier. But
Mm-hmm.
that was the 80s. That was the 80s. That's how we dressed. But he had the drum.
Wait, did you have a mesh shirt too?
You got to
Just had
subscribe
to
to my
ask.
fans. I did. Yeah, I did. I had one at
Oh my
school. The
gosh.
blue one.
Oh my god.
That's just the way it is. Put on the
Hmm.
bike yeah, put on the bike coaching shorts with the mesh shirt and some Chucks, old Chuck
Okay.
Taylors.
When you say coaching shorts, are you talking like the shorty shorts?
Back in the 80s, they were shorty shorts, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They had
Okay.
pockets on them.
What a
When I
good
say
visual.
they're not like the type of light lycra shorts that will, cling
Yeah.
to your body. These were a little bit more looser fitting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then to top it off, you wore like knee-high socks, right?
Place. And they had to have a color band at the top, either red or blue with the two-stripe color band.
Husker Chuck, really? He says I had a mesh shirt 2 sizes too small.
That's the way to rock it.
Oh my gosh. And Husker Bob says I think Mike was from Kansas City.
Yep. Yeah, because he did Chiefs games also. So he was at Nebraska on Saturdays, and then he'd go to the Chief game on Sunday and do the same thing.
Oh wow. Hmm.
But he had that drum, and he would beat the drum with, and he would get the fans going. One section would say Husker, the other section would say Power. He got the Go Big Red chant going, or defense. But he's the one that started the wave at Nebraska. He went down in that southeast corner and got the students. They caught on what was going on. I think it took about 4, maybe 6 tries before the old farts figured out, oh, we're going to do the wave, because the wave was popular up in Seattle for the Seattle
Mhm.
Seahawks football franchise. That's where it started, and it took a while, and it was really slow, and then it started picking up steam, and off it went.
Okay. So Mad Mike in the 80s, right?
Yep.
Started the wave at Memorial Stadium wearing a see-through jersey and shorty shorts.
There's nothing
It's
creepy
just
about that.
it's just I just I'm so glad we know where our history comes from now. Maybe that's why we have not heard this story before. I don't know. Oh my gosh.
It was it took a while for it to get around, because it was maybe a couple hundred people would stand up, and it was really slow, and then it would hit the student section, pick up speed, and of course, all of them from the bottom row all the way to the top in the student section, they were into it. And then you could
Yeah,
tell it hit the regular fans, but each time around, it got more and more people, and they got faster and faster.
that is so fun.
It took a while.
The only thing about the wave is I never know when to stop.
We didn't either. You got to remember, this is the '80s when Nebraska was slobber knocking people. Osborne even said something in a press conference one time. He says, "Well, I'm glad the fans are having fun, but I wish they wouldn't do the wave while we had the ball." And of course, we're up like 56-0. We got nothing better to do.
Yeah,
You
that sounds like a good time. I can't
what?
imagine being up 56 to nothing. Mhm. And doing the wave as Mad Mike runs around the stadium. Sounds like a blast. Okay, so we saw the scoring explosion. This is 1985.
This is one of my favorites because I pulled this out because all the other ones are photographs,
Mm-hmm.
and this one is artwork. And
Oh my gosh.
down in the bottom right-hand corner, it's got the
I
artist's
see.
name. It's Frank Costanza that drew that.
Wow.
I just like that one. It's one of my favorite posters.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Frank Costanza from Seinfeld?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was that Jerry Stiller's dad, or Ben Stiller's dad. That Jerry Stiller is the name of the actor.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same Constanza.
No. Wonder if there's any other artwork by Frank Costanza in Husker memorabilia. See, this is what I'm talking about. I would never even see this. I get on eBay pretty often and look at memorabilia, things that I would love, to maybe buy. Some of the stuff, it's just like, really, what would I do with that? But I just love this stuff. You should have it all framed. It'd be fun. Um, okay, so is this, I'm going to take this one off. Looking at the schedule, what is the freshman schedule? What is that all about?
Nebraska used to have a freshman team. Think of it as like varsity and junior varsity. We had two teams.
Are you
And
kidding me?
at that time,
That's-
Frank Solich was the head coach of the freshman team.
What? Again, something else that's been erased from history. I wonder, do you
I,
think we'll go back to something like that with the way that the NCAA and college football playoffs and all the rules are changing? And player walk-ons like that, I am hip being a walk-on and then going and being a Heisman Trophy candidate. Are we ever going to see that again?
no, no, those guys that walk on will more than likely go to a G5 school or a Division two
Mm.
school now. And then once they develop, that's when you'll see them back in Division one again. Power five or Power four now.
Yeah. Yep. Husker Chuck says freshmen play now. They do. They do.
In the
Yep.
70s, I don't think freshmen were allowed to play. Then there was a change,
Oh.
late 70s, where freshmen were allowed to play. So, like that year, 1985, there was a freshman quarterback on the freshman team by the name of Steve Taylor, who actually got to play on varsity too. He played some mop up in that season.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah,
Somebody
85
here,
was a bad year.
85 was.
Yeah, well, that's when I was a freshman, and our first game was Florida State,
Uh,
and that turned out to be a loss. In fact, the first game I went to at Memorial Stadium back in 1980 was against Florida State. That was a loss. But
James. That doesn't sound good. Husker Bob says Coach Solich was undefeated. Is that true?
oh, we
I
had
mean,
amazing
I'm not
freshmen.
questioning you, but tell me more.
But what you got to realize when Nebraska's bringing in these scholarship players and these walk-ons that are
Hmm.
basically projects, but they're playing like Air Force had a freshman team, but then they're also playing like Coffeyville Junior College or something like that. So they weren't playing, like Ohio State if they had a freshman team. They weren't playing those type of teams. They were basically keeping a local. What do we have on that? Yeah, Coffeyville, Waldorf, William, Jewell, and Ellsworth. Not exactly powerhouses.
Okay. Still entertainment.
Oh, and
It was a football
was thinking,
game. Yeah, Iowa State. And this is when we're still in the Big 8, right?
yes.
Okay. All right. So then we go to, ooh, look at
These
those guys.
both the same season. These are 1995. One of them
Wow.
had all the black shirts on it, and the other one has the offensive guys.
Hmm. I like the old school camera, which was not old school then,
No, that's high tech.
I'm sure.
There's your.
And what's that?
I said, there's your shorty shorts.
Yeah, those aren't shorty shorts, but look at those thighs.
They're shorter than what you.
Holy cow. That is incredible. Based off of the weight room that we saw. Look at
Yeah.
those thighs.
And I tilted that camera up intentionally to capture that glass in the middle.
Okay. What's the
That
glass for?
that was my dad had that glass on his desk at home. And that says National Collegiate Champions 1970, 1971.
Oh my gosh. Hmm. Wow. Who's the best player on defense here? Can you remember those guys? Does anyone stand out?
Team 95. Who was on that 95 team? Well, Westrom would have been a sophomore. Peter would have been a sophomore.
Yeah.
I think that might have
Christian
been about
Peter.
Stewart.
So all these guys were juniors and seniors.
And sophomores. I think that might be Wistrom on the right-hand side. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, really? He didn't have that hairstyle yet.
He was just a
That's
sophomore.
young. Mm-hmm.
See, he was a senior during that 97. Oh, no. Did he stay one? No. No, 97 was his senior season because 98 he won the Super Bowl with the St. Louis Rams. So think about that. You get a national championship ring one season and then a Super Bowl ring the next.
I can't even wrap my brain around it. You know what's crazy though is the fact that they put out an entire poster for the black shirts, which I love. And look at what they did for the offense. It's just little snippets. It's like nobody's really, you know what I mean? Like it was all about defense then.
Yep. That's the season that ended with the boot stomping of Florida, 62-24.
Yeah, Florida. Take that. The boot stomping. That must have been good, huh? Tell me.
The first quarter was a little bit hairy, but after that, after the defense made their adjustments and shut them down, it was done.
Uh-huh. Joe says the Florida State game almost wasn't played. Do you know about that?
For State? I don't know.
Okay.
We didn't play Florida State that year.
Oh,
That was
maybe it was.
the Florida game?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't.
I'll have to fill us in. Ooh, I like this. Fred Sacco says the black shirts were more of a brand, though, so they highlight them even in later years when they were not great. That's true. That's true.
Oh,
Yeah, but these guys look like they deserve it.
Fred just came in with another comment that's really relevant with the grass.
Okay. Oh, whoops, wrong one. Sorry. Go ahead. You can read it.
We were lucky to have won that game versus Florida. It was on grass, you know. All the national
Really?
pundits said Nebraska can't win. It's being played on grass. Nebraska plays on AstroTurf. They can't play on grass.
Oh. Grass is supposed to slow you down, isn't
It's supposed to slow you down. I think that year we played more on vodka.
really?
No, no, they said the grass is going to be too thick. You can't run the option. It's going to slow you down. It slowed Tommy Frazier down enough that it took 7 guys to try to tackle him, and they still couldn't do it.
My gosh. I can't even imagine. Wow.
Yeah, we played our base 4-3 defense to play that first quarter, and they switched near the end of the first quarter to more of a Pittsburgh style defense where they would disguise the blitz. They would bring in a linebacker, but then they would drop off a defensive lineman or a defensive end. And Florida, they couldn't figure it out. That second quarter, we just shut them down, and pretty much shut them down for the rest of the game too.
Take that, guys. That is awesome. Wow. Yeah, this is a great picture. Oh, a good one. Nice to
Yeah,
share.
that team was so good. They got 2 posters.
Now this definitely looks vintage with all the neon colors and the blue background, and it what's the thing with the world tour?
That one I threw it in because it was the world tour. You notice they went on the road to Washington earlier in the year, but they ended the year playing Kansas State in Tokyo.
What?
Yep.
I had no idea we played in Tokyo. Are you serious? Wow.
Yep. Tokyo,
In
Japan.
Kansas State. So why?
Money.
Oh.
I'm sure they got paid. It was they called it the Coca-Cola Bowl. So I think they got paid well by Coke.
How fun. I
But
mean, you
yeah,
take a bunch of guys playing in Nebraska and take them all the way to Tokyo, Japan. Wow. That is such a cool experience for them. I see here that Colorado's our homecoming game too. On Halloween. Ooh, that just sounds creepy.
that season, you look in the top left-hand corner, you see the guy wearing number 1.
Uh,
That was Mike Grant. That was the quarterback that started the season. But by the middle of the season, a freshman by the name of Tommy Frazier took over, and we slapped the snot out of Colorado on that night.
oh my gosh.
And we ran around them, we ran through them, we threw over the top of them. Tommy had a bomb for a touchdown. And if anybody can remember the score, I can't recall right now, but it was like 50 something to 17. I don't remember.
Fred said it was called the Monster Mash game versus Colorado. We destroyed them. It was a great night.
Yeah, I think they were ranked number 3.
52 to 7. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they were a top 10 team.
MK says, best game I've ever been to. Vince Watson says, my favorite game of all time. All right. You guys, you know I'm looking this up. This is so, wow. The Monster Mash. I love this.
But that season also had 2 of Tommy's 4 losses as a starting quarterback.
Well, that's okay.
Because believe it or not, they lost to Iowa State.
Ah.
And Tenneper took the heat on that. He was pissed off at his offensive line. They didn't perform up to his standards. And then we ended that season with Miami in the Orange Bowl.
Oh. Vince Watson says it was 8 versus 8 in the rankings. How'd that work? It must have been in a different conference
Well,
at the
no,
time.
national rankings 8 versus 8. We probably had the same number of
Oh,
votes in the polls, the points.
yeah, I've heard about this. I'm going to take this picture off. Colorado split a natty in 1990.
Yep.
I've heard this story before, but can you tell me more about this?
Chat might help you more because I'll probably get some stats screwed up. I think that was the year of Colorado's famous 5th down at Missouri. The officials forgot to change the marker. It was like 4th and goal. And the officials forgot to change the marker, and Colorado went back out there on offense, and it still shows 4th and goal, and they get their touchdown. And I believe, is that the year that they, help me on the chat, they split with Georgia Tech?
That's what Fred says. Yep.
Yeah. And we lost Georgia Tech. So we lost to both national champions that year. And then the following year, I think we lost to Washington, which ended up winning the national championship. So, yeah, we used to play good teams. And that's a flashback to that first poster you showed with the schedule.
Which one?
Or
Which
no,
one?
no, that was my concession stickers. Think about this non-conference schedule: Iowa,
Okay.
Florida State, Penn State, Auburn. You're not going to see an out of conference schedule like that again.
So they were as good as they are now.
Yeah. Auburn was always good. Penn State and Florida State were independent schools. And I'm sure when we scheduled, Penn State was always good through the 70s with Joe Paterno. I'm sure when we scheduled the game with Florida State, they weren't that good. Bobby Bowden is the one that turned them around in the mid 70s. So when we ended up playing that schedule, we played 4 really good teams. Well, 3 good teams in Iowa.
Yeah.
Got to get my Iowa dig in there.
There you go. True Nebraskan right there. Vince Watson says, oh, did I say Fred's comment? We had the honor of losing to both teams. Yep, BA. And then, yeah. Vince Watson says, just watched the CU versus Nebraska 1992 last week on the YouTube. Still makes me smile. Well, now that I know about it, I can watch that and smile too. The Monster Mash.
Yeah, I think
I
that
love
was
that.
Hoyt Detmer was their quarterback back then, I believe.
Okay. Huh. That is, yeah. So great. Joe Lalakis says ABC TV intervened and NCAA reversed the infraction. So all played and the game was televised. Do you know what?
That goes back to his Florida State comment earlier.
Oh,
I guess I'm not
yes.
aware of
What's
that.
that?
I'm not aware of that. That
Okay.
doesn't jog a memory for me.
Well, you've been to many Husker games and have lots and lots of stories. So it's okay if you let a couple slip through the cracks. Oh my goodness.
Since we went through all the posters, I told you that I had a little bit of a surprise that I
Yeah,
didn't
what's that?
show you last night.
What? Oh my gosh.
Oh, there, got the glare off that. Frankie Solich.
You have a Huskers football, white Huskers football. Looks like from the 80s, 90s, 80s.
Signed by Frank Solich. So what probably would have been when he was the coach.
90.
Well, he was the coach from
70.
90 through 2003.
Okay.
And he didn't sign that in front of me. I won that at a raffle at a golf tournament.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a prized possession. Why would you not even bring that up?
It never crossed my mind last night. I thought, oh, I forget. I'll have to bring it up Monday night.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. I want to know, do you guys have memorabilia like this? Like, what's your most prized Husker memorabilia? I'm jealous of it all, I have to tell you. But
well, something else somebody could dig up. I said I didn't show all the posters. There used to be pocket schedules that you could put in your wallet. I got a bunch of those.
Oh,
but really?
Really?
And they're all in a box in the garage, and I didn't want to dig it out of the box. So if anybody else ends up on this, sharing their Husker memories, if they have those wallet schedules, share them.
Nice. Yeah, I have a couple, but obviously I wasn't at the games.
Yeah, I don't think I have them all anymore. I think a few of them got chewed up in the wallet and ended up in the trash.
Oh, that breaks my heart. Greg says, I have 2 souvenir cups from my first game in Memorial Stadium. That was this past Colorado game.
Oh,
that was his first game in Memorial Stadium.
I didn't know they still had souvenir cups. I always bought bottles.
Yeah.
It seems like the last 10, 15 years is bottles.
Oh, since I've been going to games, they have souvenir cups.
Do you have to go to a concession stand to get those?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used to work concessions, so I take care of the guys. I take care of my boys that are carrying around those racks.
Aw. Well, now we all will. That is so awesome. Gargamel has a 1997 National Championship football signed by Scott Frost.
That was worth some money up until a few years ago.
Why? Why would you say that? It's still worth money. You can't take that away from him.
No, you can't take
come on.
away from him.
He won us a national championship. So that is awesome. I love that. What is I wonder what it looks like. It's white or just like a regular football or what?
Probably like this football. It's got some white on it, so you can sign it, I would imagine. Yeah. With the national championship logo on there.
Husker Chuck says, I have a crazy old book from 1937 Standard Oil Husker book.
That's a collector's item.
Oh. Huh. And we were talking about Husker Bob and Mad Mike. Did you ever hear, I just found this today. This was after our conversation last night. Did you ever hear of Johnny Husker?
No.
Okay. I'm going to try and show this to you guys. It's on my phone. I just took a screenshot. It was on something about, I think, Reddit. And somebody had, oh, sorry about the glare. Can you see it?
Oh, I seen that on Reddit a couple days ago, too.
Yeah, I never saw this before. It was from what does it say? 1930s, I think. And then there was a guy that said, and I love what he said, because I didn't know this stuff. It's a not for human consumption. That's his tag, his handle, I mean. He says, I've got several shirts, sweatshirts with Johnny Husker. Love him. I've got Herbie gear, got Metro, GQ Herbie, blonde hair, fat farmy Herbie. Harry Husker makes an appearance on one shirt. I wish I had some gear with cordon head man. What I don't have is Little Red. Nowhere and not on anything. I think he meant that because he's never going to buy Little Red. He says, I also don't have anything that specifically says Nebraska Huskers. It makes me cringe. Huskers by itself is good. I say it all the time. Go Huskers. But if you're including Nebraska, you better use the name Nebraska Cornhuskers. And he says, I have less of that gear because it's hard to find. I never even realized that. Yeah, we do shorten it. And I like that, actually. Nebraska Cornhuskers instead of Nebraska Huskers.
Yeah, it was one of those televised games this year where the announcer at the beginning of the game said Nebraska Cornhuskers versus whoever we were playing that week.
Uh-huh.
And it struck me as like, yeah, we don't say that enough.
And Fred says, these sound like really, really shady chat room names. No, they don't.
Yeah, the GQ Husker. When I heard that, I'm wondering what is a GQ Husker?
Must be like hair slicked back. Maybe he's wearing a mesh shirt. Who knows?
Yeah, there you go. Mesh shirt, bike shorts, brand new Adidas.
Joe Laleka says, I have a 1978 team and coach signed football. Wow. That sounds like it's. Can you imagine the team signing a football and all the coaches? That sounds really cool.
Need a big football.
Well, I would imagine, yes. And yeah, it sounds like it's worth quite a bit.
It was Osborne's first team to beat Oklahoma in 1978.
Oh my gosh. See, this is so good that we're going through all this. All right. Well, you guys, what I want to tell you is, okay, James, you've been on the show. Was this that hard to share all your fun experiences and take a stroll down memory lane?
No, it was not hard at all.
Were
I
you a
loved
little
through it.
were you a little nervous to begin with though?
Yes, I was.
But for no reason, right?
No,
Say
no,
yes.
it's a little
No
bit
reason.
different
Just
being
no
there
reason.
as opposed to being in the chat.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah.
And
But
like you've mentioned before, you've gone back to watch the show just to read the chat.
yep.
That's what I'm going to have to do because I've been glancing at it and I really haven't been keeping up with it at all.
See? That's the whole reason that I'm here is to read what you guys write. It's so sad. So, okay. I have reached out to a couple people that Greg had their emails for. And if there's anybody else that Greg has, I will reach out. But in the meantime, email me at huskermini@gmail.com. If you're interested in talking about, Husker football or, just sharing your experience, because I'd love to talk to you and have you on the show. Because, like I said, it is your show. Hopefully we can get more of these and bring some Husker memorabilia and awesome stories like what you shared. Things I never heard before. Didn't you also say that you have met Coach Osborne a couple times?
Quite a bit, really. A
Quite a
couple
bit.
of my
Oh, yeah.
favorite stories about Tom Osborne. I used to see him around town a lot. And one time I got in line behind him at Walgreens. And this was the 1997 season. It was August. And little did we know he was going to retire at the end of that season. But I got in line behind him. And he's kind of a little bit head nod. That's all we did then. And got all those goodies up by the cash register and like candies and pills and stuff. And one of the things he grabbed was a bottle of St. John's wort, which apparently helps with mild depression. And I
Oh,
thought, oh, crap, this is going to be a long season. But
are you
we
serious? You are
no,
serious.
I'm serious. That actually happened.
Oh my gosh.
But I did see him quite a bit later. We went to the same gym. Uh, I teased him about it at the gym. I said, "Hey, you got a whole complex named after you downtown. Why don't you go there?" And of course, he said, "Well, this is closer." But I always said, "Hi, coach," and he he got my name and hi, Jim. And then after a while, just kind of became a simple head nod. After we'd see each other at the gym as a head nod. Well, my mom ended up at Madonna uh, Therapy uh, Hospital. She broke her ankle pretty bad. She was in there for a couple
Okay.
weeks.
Uh-huh.
I was pushing her down the hall in a wheelchair, and Coach Osborne came down the hall right at us and seen us, and he stopped by. He said, "How you doing today, Jim?" I said, "I'm doing great." And he says, "We'll see you at the gym." I said, "Yeah." Mom turned around in her wheelchair. She said, "You know Coach Osborne?" I said, "Yeah. I see him every Sunday." He was at the gym before going to church.
Wow.
So I
That
have
is such a great story. You know, you started it off with how you became a Husker, and then just that story right there. I don't know. What a jeez. You know, I feel like I've had a really great, like, I've had great experiences as a fan, but nothing that compares to some of these stories. Nothing at all. I mean, the closest I've even come to, you were teasing me last night about Dylan Raiola and how you guys say I stalk him. Well, the truth is, even though I tried to watch him and, help his teams here in Arizona, I never even saw him in Arizona. The only time I ever saw him was in Omaha, Nebraska at the airport. So, yeah. Don't forget to like this show either.
oh, it
Yes.
worked for
See?
me.
Well, it works on Mac, so I don't know. Okay.
A lot of my interaction is because I live here. You don't get that interaction with everybody because you're
It's
further
true.
away. You're not
It's
here every
true.
day.
And one time the first time I met John in person, we went out to eat. It was the Friday before the Colorado game, right before we met you guys. And we're sitting there eating at a nice restaurant, a big table, and we see at the bar John Butler. And I'm like, oh, I just get like starstruck immediately. And John looks at me. He goes, Minnie, there's an unwritten rule. You don't go up to coaches whenever they are out in the public. You leave them alone. And I'm like, are you really? You expect me to abide by those rules? But I did. I didn't embarrass anybody. It just, I couldn't help myself. I would have to.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed about Tom when you see him out and about. He's aware of people looking at him because
Oh,
you can see
sure.
him looking around. He knows people are looking at him, staring at him. And that interaction I had with him at the gym when I teased him, that might have been about 5 or 6 high coaches down the road before I
Mhm.
finally, "Hey, what are you doing here?"
Wow. What cool experiences you've had. Um, Thank you for sharing all that. You guys, thank you so much for sharing all of these comments. I'm going to try and get through some of these real quick. Um, Highlander Gun says, and this was in regards to the Never Mind Me question about where John is. He says, as long as John does the Young Guns watch along, I'll be happy. And I don't know if Greg has any updates on that. See, the problem is We couldn't figure out how to do a movie watch along. John was all set, ready to go. We were going to watch the movie, but once we raised money for Team Jack, but YouTube kicked us off. So we know we still owe Chat a Young Guns movie watch along. We won't let him forget. I don't know.
You'd almost have to do that on private somehow.
Yeah, I think so. You're right. I don't know how else to do it. But Greg has been in charge of that. And you see, if I'm not in charge of things, it just doesn't get done.
No, he's wondering if I got a penicillin shot. I wonder if that's in reference to Walgreens. I don't know.
I'm sure. Fred Zacco says, boob light on Monday night.
Yes, every real house should have a boob light.
Well, Vince Watson also says every proper Husker fan has a boob light. I mean, I would consider myself a proper Husker fan, okay? But
yeah, if you're still in here, Greg, there's the boob light.
I'm not putting any boob lights up. I'm just not. I won't do it. I mean, unless it's a requirement to get into the Husker club or something, I'm not doing it. All right. Husker Chuck says, in the wishbone, the defense can determine who gets the ball. In the eye, the offense could give the ball to the back they wanted. Oh. That's when you were talking about the Oklahoma game?
Yeah, they ran the eye
Marcus.
for Marcus Dupree so he could
Yeah.
basically pick where he's going. But I understand what Husker Chuck's talking about the wishbone, because you want to leave your best player on their running back. So you would either stuff up the middle so they couldn't do a fullback dive, or you would use a linebacker to take out the lead block running back or a safety, however you want to set it up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always, doesn't matter when you run the option, it always comes down to one-on-one, and you got to beat your guy. You got to beat that tackle if you're the running back, and you got to make that tackle if that's your job. And that's what's dangerous about the option and a really good running back.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like it. I'm going to go back and rewatch this show right here. There's so much good information from all of you guys. Craig Gifford says, Adidas after Tom won his first national championship in 95. So that's when we got them. Before that, it was Nike, huh?
Yeah, I don't remember when we switched to Adidas. I didn't think it was that big of a deal back then, because I know it was a lot of money when they signed with Adidas. It was one of the largest apparel contracts in the nation at that time.
Yeah, Adidas was big in the 90s. That makes sense. And then Gargamel says, I remember Mad Mike, he had the drum, and Husker Bob says, Mad Mike banged that friggin' drum. So what kind of drum was it? Was it like something he strapped to his chest and,
maybe about 10 to 12 inches. And he had the drumstick was one of those sticks that had the pad on it. So it wasn't it did have a snappy sound to it, but it wasn't that loud. But if you're on the other side of that drum, because it was hollow on the backside, I imagine it was really loud.
Husker Chuck says he remembered Tom Osborne saying that to in the press conference about doing the wave when we were on the field, or when we had the ball.
Yeah, we got bored really easy back then because we're just beating everybody.
I can't even imagine. Just rub it in. Joe Laleka says the wave typically died when it was in the west stands. Okay.
That's where all the old people were.
Oh, look who's here. Look, hey, he's there. He's here. He's there. He's everywhere.
What's up, James?
Having a great time. I'm having fun.
It's always good to come out here and bear your Nebraska Cornhusker soul, as it were. I really just came on to say that prior to Adidas, it was not Nike, it was Converse. Got to go back to pre-1995. It was Converse was a much bigger name in the realm than it is today. So anyway, that's all I want to say. See y'all later.
Okay, so you're telling me. See, you can't do that, Greg. You must have heard part of the show because we've thrown you under the bus a couple times.
I've been watching.
You want to know a little known fact about Mike Rozier in the Orange Bowl against Miami? One of my best friends, his father worked the equipment. He was the equipment manager, Glenn Abbott. He was equipment manager for Nebraska. Rozier signed a contract with Kangaroo. Remember Kangaroo shoes?
Yeah.
Root?
Oh. Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah, he signed a contract with them before the bowl game, so technically he wasn't supposed to play. But he wore his Kangaroos during the bowl game.
Oh.
And he twisted the second half, and Jeff Smith had to finish the game.
Seriously.
I don't even remember Kangaroo shoes at all. I had to Greggle it really quick just to see. Still didn't ring a bell seeing a picture. So.
Okay. Well, going back to the Converse. Oh, sorry. You go ahead. Explain Kangaroos.
Pocket in your shoes. Mm-hmm. They were popular in the early 80s.
See, that's before my time. Sorry.
Yeah. Barely.
Don't let the gray hair fool you.
Yeah. Going back to the Converse statement. So, did we wear high tops? No. Like Converse also? What? I don't.
You're thinking of Converse as just being like Chuck Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a full athletic wear line.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long were we signed with them?
Oh.
And this is before we were good, obviously, right?
No, I mean
great.
This is before a lot of the national championships started.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Oh, a paywall. Damn you, paywall.
Craig Gifford says Adidas after Tom won his first championship in 95. So it must have been like, we saw pictures. Actually, you have them here. Sorry, guys.
Go back to that 79.
This one.
What were
this
they wearing?
One has, what is that? What kind of shoe is that? That's up in the air. That might have been an opponent. Anyways.
It looks like an Adidas almost. Looks like it has two stripes.
Isn't that weird? Look at the cheerleader or baton twirler. She's wearing high heel boots. I love it.
Hey, those moves were made for major hitting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is it. So this is what year? This is
83.
83. They had Nike. So then we'll say late 80s to possible early 90s. We had Converse in there somewhere.
Now, those are the jerseys. If they do a throwback, I'd love to see those.
They didn't have names on the back, did they?
Yes, they did.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Okay. Fred Sacco says, when we were talking about the freshman team, he says Dylan would still be second string on the freshman team. I don't think he'd be second string. Didn't you say that Tommy Frazier started his freshman year?
Yeah, he started the middle of the year.
Yeah.
Mike Grant started that season. Mike Grant was amazing on the freshman team. I thought he was going to be a Husker great, and he just plateaued.
Mm. All right. And Gargamel says Turner Gill and Irving Fryer both played on the freshman team as well.
See, good things come out of the freshman team, just not doing right.
Yeah,
well, we're hoping. We talked about maybe, with the way that college football is going, wouldn't it make sense to have a freshman team? Anybody?
I don't know if the NCAA rules would allow them to do it now.
What was the question? You broke up on my end.
Oh, I said, with the way that college football is changing, it would make sense to have a freshman team.
It'd be fun. I mean, it'd be more football.
Be more football.
Be like Maction. It used to be dominated on Wednesdays and Thursday nights, but I just, I'm just an old curmudgeon stuck in my ways.
Yes, but Vince Watson says Gregel is but a pup.
Thanks, Vince.
All right. Greg, did you really just jump on here to talk about Converse?
No, I really just jumped on here to say hi to James. I hadn't seen him since the Coronation meetup back in September at Kincaiders. So, I mean, I haven't seen anybody in person since Kincaiders, really, but, it was just, if I could pop in here, do a quick little cameo in and out, that's what I tried to do, but just here I stay, I suppose. So
you can't quit us.
Well, I don't want to make the show longer than it needs to be. And apparently that's my problem, is I talk too much. So
it's okay. We accept you as you are.
Thank you.
Yeah,
but we have a question. What is the deal with the watch along for Young Guns?
Yeah.
Are you still working on it?
Yep. Working on it. We'll get it done this offseason, I promise.
Oh my, look at Never Mind Me. Can you read that, James? What do you think?
In my opinion, Frazier wasn't a good QB. He ran the option like a genius, but he wouldn't start as a QB in any Division I school today. Nobody's running that offense today except for the academies. But he had a heart of a champion. He would be successful wherever he went.
Yes, and you also said 8 guys tried to take him down. 8.
7.
7 guys. Still 7 guys. I don't know. That sounds like somebody who is pretty good to me. Not easy to take down and can get the ball in the direction it needs to go. And can run.
He was not a well-liked member of the team. He was a hard ass on everybody. He drove everybody. You notice he was not a team captain ever, but everybody on the team knew they needed him to win.
Okay, you guys better get your act together. Aaron Rostovsky says, not unpopular, Tommy Frazier is the most overrated player in NU history. And I
don't know.
Think that Rostovsky, you normally have good opinions. You failed us on this one.
Opinions are like, never mind. I'm not gonna. It's subjective. Plus, I mean, he's won a championship. I guess maybe we got to give DR more time to see if he can win a championship. But he might go down as the most overrated quarterback or overrated player. I don't know. Mm-hmm. At least T. Fraze won some hardware.
There you go. What were you saying, James? I didn't catch you
I
because
know,
your
I'm
mic.
going to say something snarky, and I do not remember what it was.
Oh, okay.
It was something about Dylan, and I don't.
Well, what's interesting, again, okay, go ahead.
Fred, who I thought left, but that's okay, says Dylan most overrated number 1, Crouch number 2. But again, Crouch won a Heisman, won conference championship. I mean, at some point, was he best quarterback of all time? No, but that's not the system they were running at the time. If he was going through college now, he wouldn't be a quarterback. He'd be, honestly, hate to say it, probably like an inside or a slot receiver, or the jet sweep king or something like that. I don't know, but football's changed a lot in the last 25 years. So.
If we're going to go down that road of picking an overrated player, maybe Taylor Martinez for me.
Don't dare. No, I'm just kidding.
Steve Taylor, Gargamel says.
That I had that going through my mind too. I thought
and he says any year. Whoops, sorry. Go ahead, Craig.
Me. Sorry, I was trying to help.
I know.
Your show, not mine.
No, I appreciate your help. Hey, come back. Gargamel says Steve Taylor any year against Oklahoma.
Yeah, he had to go up against Jamel Holloway and Charles Thompson at Oklahoma.
Huh.
It wasn't good.
Oh my goodness. I'd like to see that rivalry come back. That's what I would like.
This one by Mr. Rostowski says Team Magic would definitely have won a championship with the 94-97 defenses and O-line.
Ooh.
I think a lot of quarterbacks would too.
Right.
If they had Lawrence Phillips and Amon Green behind them.
Yeah.
The trophy winners on the offensive line.
Okay, I'm going to show this picture again.
Like they had.
There you go. There's the 95.
Look at that.
That's some beef.
That is some muscle.
That's some Omaha steak right there.
Yeah. The team was so good. They had 2 posters.
I'll just say, occasionally on we'll just call it the algorithm. I'll get that 90 whatever yard, maybe not quite 90, but freshman year Team Magic against Kansas State second half. And, the announcers are talking about like, oh yeah, Kansas State's got him pinned back and if they can get a stop here and Martinez just goes right up the middle untouched. Definitely had some of the best straight line speed that we've seen in it from a Nebraska quarterback. That was, I think, the first. That was the first, and again, I can't blame Taylor Martinez for this. This is the system. This is what he was asked to do. But that was really where we first started seeing the quarterback be the lead rusher, in that era. But those back foot, throwing off the back foot, YOLO arm punts, they were just too much. And then he got hurt against Texas A&M and was never the same.
Yeah, he was never the same as far as running the ball. He didn't have that cut, that quick cut, that speed. And like you said, throwing off the back foot.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's all you have in the quarterback room, they were thin at quarterback.
That was Bo Pelini's fault.
Yeah.
We were supposed to talk about coaching. This show was supposed to be focused on coaching, but we got caught up in memorabilia. And now we're talking about quarterbacks of the years.
Yeah, that was the headline on the show was Matt Rhule and the future of Nebraska football. And I don't think we mentioned Matt Rhule once.
Well, now we have. Now you have. So.
Yeah, twice at least now.
Yeah.
Matt Rhule.
Frazier almost went to Colorado from Gargamel. And then Husker Bob says Scott shot put Frost. What? Come on, Husker Bob, really? Was that his nickname?
It is now.
Just how it looked when he threw the ball.
You guys.
Yeah,
All
Frazier's
right.
big three were Notre Dame, Nebraska, and Colorado.
See, and if he would have picked Notre Dame or something like that, then he could have gone and been a failed coach at a Division II school in Indiana. Or Division III or whatever Doan is. You know, some people just are not made. That's not. That came off like snarky and like really mean spirited. But some people just aren't meant to be coaches.
No.
That's true. There's a lot of people that aren't.
No, every time there's an opening for an assistant coach here at Nebraska, and people say, "Oh, let's bring in." Yeah, bring in X player because, Sue, bring in Ndamukong Suh. Hey, he might be the best defensive tackle to ever play the game, but can he coach it? It's one thing to be able to do it, but can you translate it to teach the kids?
No,
we don't know that.
A coach is supposed to inspire and teach.
Aaron Rostowski, Captain Correction, says NAIA. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I think we're going to have to just end it here tonight. Maybe next week we'll talk more about Matt Rhule and the future of Nebraska coaching. Yes.
Or and on Thursday, maybe. Who knows?
Hey, that's a good idea. Yes. What is Thursday, Greg?
It is March the 6th. Year of our Lord, 2025.
Is there anything going on that our listeners might want to know about?
You mean the 5 Heart Podcast?
That's what I mean.
Okay. I thought that everybody knew that already because, again, we have such a dedicated, loyal fan base.
Yeah, well,
that I didn't really think we had to get into the details.
Okay.
That's what I get for thinking.
Thursday at 9 p.m. Central.
Right.
And a live stream called the 5 Heart Podcast on this channel, Coronation. And you get to see more of Greg.
Sorry. I apologize in advance.
James, you've been wonderful.
Well, thank you for having me tonight. This was fun. I had fun tonight.
Hey, James, I do have a question.
Yes.
Where did you acquire that very stylish hooded sweatshirt type thing?
We already talked about it.
Corn.com.
Oh. Copycorn.com.
For your apparel needs.
You know what? I think I need to dig out some of my Copycorn merch this Thursday for the 5 Heart Podcast.
That's a good idea.
It's mostly T-shirts, and it'll be in my basement, so I'm probably going to freeze. But it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for the good of the show, for the good of the site, for the good of John's retirement account.
Hard road of champions.
That's right.
Minnie?
All right. Well, you guys, Greg, and thank you also for popping in. I know I give you a hard time, but I appreciate it. I know. And everyone else that is joining us live, that is commented, I appreciate your comments. And this is a community where everyone has a voice. And if you would like to share your Husker fandom during the off season, don't forget to email me at huskerminnie@gmail.com and we will work something out. Thank you guys. Have a good night. And since Greg's here, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and sign us off. James, why don't you start? And Greg, you can finish.
How about I start? Greg goes second and you finish.
Okay, that's fine.
Follow the leader. Go.
Oh, big.
Oh gosh. Try again. Do over.
I'm used to doing this. I'm used to doing this in the old John way where we just say goodnight to everybody like the Waltons.
Yeah. Well, now I like this. Go ahead, James.
Okay. Something fun and unique to do. And
yeah.
Hell with it.
I'm ready, James. Let's start over.
Right. Go.
Big.
Red.